see here. So, good morning to all of you. Good morning. Good morning. And there's still a few people trickling in, but that's okay because I don't want to sit there and delay too much longer because I have a special friend, guest, host kind of thing. Good morning, Debbie. And we'll get into that here. But as always, good morning. Welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat. You're listening to Adam the Black Swamp Medium. So thank you so much for joining me on your Saturday. Looking forward to having a great show with you. It's going to be a super busy day. If you guys missed my post this morning, good morning, Dana. Good morning, Dennis. So we are not going to horse around because last second I had a very special friend of mine that was just like, hey, because I was joking. I'm like, hey, you want to, jump on the show? Hey, Chris, happy birthday, Chris. I did see that today. Good, happy birthday to you, sir. And I just was like, hey, you want to be on the show sometime? And she was just like, you want like the Saturday? I'm like, sure, let's do this. Let's get around. I'm like, let's go. So, all right, without further ado, I'm going to have my friend Carmen Kosmider join me this morning. Hello, Carmen.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm waking up. How about you?
About the same. So
Yes.
you're obviously so popular because here it is, two shows within a couple days of each other. I mean, what is happening with you?
Yeah, I don't know. Dan says I've gone Hollywood.
There it is. There. Good morning, Sharon. Dan- Dana's like, she's on a kick. No, this is great. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But Carmen, real quickly, just so everybody kind of has an understanding of, who you are, what you do, and then ways that they can reach you. Good morning, Sydney. Good morning, Gemma. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what are the things that you do. I mean, I obviously know some of them, but it's always great to hear it from the person that we're talking to.
so, I'm a massage therapist. I have my own studio out in Swanton. That was, I guess, my main thing. But I also do energy work and I know Reiki. It's not usually the traditional Reiki that I do. Um, and then there's mediumship that's in there, but I don't usually advertise for that because it makes me nervous and then I can't do it.
That's okay. That's
But
okay. Sometimes well, and then we've talked extensively over the last several years since we met and stuff, and we'll talk about that too. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Tanya. And there's a lot of times where when you are doing massage, stuff, and I have not had one from you yet, so we still need to make that happen. I know that. You
yep.
know, I'm sorry, but a lot of people, including like Dana and her fiance Jeff, have seen you, and they can't talk to they're so highly enthused and positive from the results that they've gotten from you from that and being able to incorporate what you do with your massage and so it's kind of cool that you've been able to kind of blend all that together.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of I mean, well, anytime you touch someone, you're in someone's energy. So, I mean, it kind of flowed naturally. It's just getting to the point where I don't have to be touching someone because, that's, I think, where it's psychological with me, but we'll see. I'm trying to get there. I would
Right.
prefer to not do massage anymore. My shoulders would love me to not do massage anymore.
It is a lot of work, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially as we gracefully get older, it's
Yeah.
the body doesn't recover as quickly.
No, it doesn't.
After a lot of intensive hard work, not that it's really hard work, but it is still work in some regards.
Repetitive, yes.
True. And then obviously, I mean, for people that are local, what's the best way to reach you or get in contact with you to set up a session or an appointment with you?
Actually, on Facebook, it's Carmen Kosmider LMT. That's my business page. My phone number's on there, so you can email whatever you need to do, message, text. And that's the easiest way.
Hmm. That is awesome. And so, And then obviously, sometimes it helps too for people to kind of have an idea. Does your prices range depending on what kind of thing you're doing for them, or everything pretty much standard, or
I try to keep it as simple as possible. So any service basically from a half an hour is $39 and an hour is $69.
oh,
I
yeah.
don't like paperwork or trying to keep track of all that stuff, so it's just one price no matter what you're doing.
Yep. On Dana, because they talked about this on their show, Dana and Jeff. So, um, being, been with you in sessions and stuff like that. And Carmen actually told Jeff that we would get engaged in for 2 years before we did. So yeah. So that's like I said, like earlier, with the things that kind of blend together. They're getting the massage, but yet Carmen's tapping in a little bit, getting some from the other side. Nothing wrong in that. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes
but
it just happens. I mean, I think, we both know that it doesn't have to be even just what we do a lot, paranormal things, but, in a healing session, sometimes spirit's going to come through and, whether it's your guides, giving some information or their guides and or loved ones that come through and just say, "Hey, by the way, could you let them know this?" And like,
yeah,
"Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. No problem." So,
yes. Sometimes they get a little loud and you have to stop and acknowledge them and pass along the message or nothing gets done what you're trying to do.
yeah, right, 'cause they're gonna keep hounding you for that until you say something, so and that's tough too sometimes. I mean, I know you
Yeah.
get into those situations, like, in public, and they really wanna get that message across, and you're like, "I don't know the person that well, it's gonna be weird."
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole life basically. Like it's gonna be weird. I
Right.
feel so awkward all the time.
Yes, because you are still sort of in closet stage a little bit because, yeah, you're not. Because that's one thing I wanted to bring up just because there's some of you that are watching or and even listening to this back at another time, that, doing the mediumship and doing a lot of this holistic things, not everything has to be, really public, I mean? Like this, being in a setting where we're doing a show and stuff like that, and you're kind of like on a pedestal a little bit, which is can be nerve-wracking as it. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it does kind of work out and if it's meant to kind of take off a little bit more, then it will. And if it doesn't, that's okay too, because there's nothing wrong in it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's why I decided, like, Jeff talked me into it, Jeff and Dana, to do the first time. And I feel really comfortable with them, and I feel really comfortable with you. But
mhm.
Harold from Togs,
Yep.
we're doing that class in August, and he
Right.
asked me to do a 20 to 30-minute presentation
Yep.
about mediumship and
Yep.
psychics and all that. And I was like, oh,
Ah,
so I
yeah.
figured I would probably should start breaking the ice a little bit with myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and even then, if it's just to get you to the point where you're comfortable enough to where, little things like that, doesn't mean you have to be going on, doing the big conventions or anything and
Yeah.
speaking there. But, some of the smaller things or doing a few, shows like this that, just kind of gets you just a little bit to where you might not feel as nervous when those opportunities pop up, and but and that's the thing is you also have to listen to, what your guides are telling you, because obviously if it's not in the cards for you to do it, well, you're gonna find out pretty quickly. So
Yeah, I was kind of maybe kind of a little bit hoping this morning with the whole laptop thing that, oh, maybe it's just not meant to be today.
see, but I was gonna make sure that it was gonna work because we're gonna have too much fun because right now it's just you and me. I might be looking over saying good morning to Nancy and Ron, but that, you know, no,
Yeah.
I love my friends and family and everybody watching. Um, but that's the fun part too, because like this show and the whole point was just that we're just going to have a chat. There's nothing crazy, and there's a lot of great people that are watching, along with us, and they'll have some good questions if they have any and things like that. But this is just to have fun. We're not sitting there like we got to go through all these different things, before we get the show completed. So um that's why it's fun to be nice and open about everything. So
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, it's nice. It's like I'm talking to you on Messenger, but I get to see you now. So this
right.
this is comfortable.
And that's probably a great way to even then, just sort of go back to how you and I met because, um, you're a member of Togs, and they're a local, Toledo team, or what is it? Toledo, Ohio Ghost
Ghost Hunter
Hunters.
Society.
Yeah, society, right. And awesome team. I mean, I've been connected with them, about the same amount of time, maybe just a little bit before I got to meet you personally.
Yeah.
But good morning, Margaret. And yeah, I mean, it was really cool because I think that first time I met you was at Collywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody was outside having on a smoke break, and um, I already knew. I was like, I wonder what's up with her because I'm like, there's something interesting. And so I think it was Harold that introduced us and things, and so we
Yep.
little chit chat. We didn't really like go too crazy. I don't remember that first time, but we connected on Facebook pretty quickly, and then um, sent some messages back and forth. The normal chit chat thing, and then it wasn't till I think we got deeper into conversations about the things that we do, the passions that we have, and then it was in December where Harold wanted to really have me on the show, on
Yeah.
his show, and that way we went over to your house, which was amazing. I love her house. Oh my gosh. So, and the property too. I mean, that's even, that's
That's the best part.
yeah. So, and maybe we'll touch on that here, instead of keep people hanging. But and it was like I said, it was December, so it was right between the right as the holidays were approaching, and um, you know, had a great time with the show. We had food, and so it was awesome. And then even then, as people were slowly leaving, you and I were kind of hanging out, and it's December, okay, so it's cold out,
A little
and yet
chill.
we're hanging out outside and just
Couldn't
talking
stop.
about
Yeah,
things.
we couldn't stop talking.
Hey, hey, good morning, Tim. Hey, Rodney. And but even then, just I mean, it was probably like 40s or something like that, upper 30s, 40s, but yet, you know, lots of native spirits were slowly moving about, and she's got a cool little pond back there, and they were coming from around the pond and everything, and was like,
Checking you
oh
out.
my god. Yeah, and then we were like, "We really need to do something when it's warmer out, we gotta come back, I gotta play my flutes out there and just kinda really, like, get with the energies and the natives that, still, walk the land," and whoo, man. So
Soon.
right. Yes, we do. We do have a scheduled, date in more ways
Penciled
than
in.
one.
Yep, it's penciled in.
It is penciled and hey Janet, and so yeah, we've got some things that we're kicking around, and things that hopefully will work out. I mean, it's been something we've been talking about since that time, which I think was in 2018. I think it
Yeah,
was.
it's been a couple
So
years.
yeah, yeah, it's and the pandemic really hurt us in that aspect because we nobody really could do anything anyway. So
Yeah. It's just been me hanging out on the property with all my friends.
right, that's okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
you
nice.
you keep them happy, and so but
Yep.
but even then, because of that, I mean, how uh, we've noticed it at our old mill, that the spirits noticed, a big change in, the energies and stuff because of the pandemic. Have you noticed anything different on your property? Are they still do you seem like the energies are still the same? Has anything changed that you are aware of?
I feel like it was more of, I don't know, like basic back
Yeah.
to nature stuff. Like
Okay.
it just seemed to be more peaceful and more calming. When the pandemic first started and everything was shut down, the creek that runs through the property, the water was the clearest I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
And it just seemed a whole world different. It was nice. It was very nice. And I think they were all very excited about it.
Well, and that's the thing is, it's a refreshing, clarity and things. And I remember seeing I think I even posted a meme, or not even a meme, but just more of a photo, but it's something, but it was a Native American elder posted something, but it was just like, truly, if we were to, stop what we're doing, kind of like what the pandemic was, the earth will naturally heal itself and all the things that
Yeah.
we've done to her. And I think, a lot of us, that obviously the first couple months in, we noticed that the air quality was a lot different because nobody could drive, for the most part. And so things like that. And you're seeing water is looking way different. That's crazy, but at the same time super cool. So yeah, there's you can see
There's
that there's truly healing
definitely,
going on.
yes, exactly. A lot of healing that, you can't buy that stuff,
No,
it was beautiful to watch. And even now this spring, everything just seemed even brighter and fuller and everything. So I'm excited for summer. We just got our garden in, and I'm hoping everything does well because I think everybody's happy there.
yep. My other friend Debbie is saying like hitting a reset button, with
Yeah,
nature. Absolutely.
and
Yeah, it's
well
well,
deserved one.
yeah, and of course, I mean, because in some regard, I mean, obviously the pandemic it was is horrible in itself, what it's done to people, and people that we have all know, we all you can't turn around and not say you didn't know somebody at some point, even if you weren't like the closest of friends, but you knew somebody that you know uh, didn't make it through, COVID, them getting COVID. So, um, but it's neat to just sort of see how shutting down in a way, something that all of us have never really truly experienced, and we've never had something like this. I mean, the closest, I think I can think of is 9/11, where, there was no more planes in the air. And that was bizarre in itself to not hear jets for like a couple weeks, I think it was, or longer. And so just on that aspect thing, it's it's almost like it'd be great to be able to do that once in a while, but obviously there's that's a lot of things to do, and I'd rather do it in a not in a pandemic sort of way, but
Yeah,
you
but
know, I
you
mean,
know,
there's Earth days and things like that, but they're but it's not like anything stops. It's almost like we really do need like a day to just you know, during the week, not on a weekend. Let's do it during the week, and just really shut down. And, for one day is not going to kill anybody. You know what I mean? Obviously we're still going to need, people in hospitals and stuff like that. But they got to, everybody sit home. I mean, shoot, think about it. I mean, Sundays back in the day were shut down days.
yeah,
We almost need that back again, maybe.
yeah. I kind of feel like it is with like your body, you have all these little subtle hints and cues that something's not right. You should probably take care of that, and you don't listen to it. You don't listen to it. Next thing you know, you can't move your arm or you can't turn your head. You are getting shut down for a reason,
Mm,
because you weren't paying attention to all the other little things. And I kind of feel like that's kind of maybe what Mother Nature did, kind of took a
yep.
little bit of advantage of that and
I
was
like
well
that. That's a
needed.
great way. That's a great way to put that. Jeff jumped on, so he's saying, "Good morning, my mediums."
Hello, Charlie.
So, um, yeah, and I think, uh, y- you know, it also gives us and a lot of people that are watching, and even then just sort of gives everybody a different view on things too. We can sit there and finally, uh, you know, even for yourself. Okay, so maybe we can't do something as a whole world, to stop, but you can do something. Obviously, there's some people that are, being careful and staying home, but maybe there's times where you feel like you should shut down anyway, because again, for us mediums and stuff like that, we can be pretty overrun. So I mean, you push too hard, you go down pretty hard.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was
but
one of the things with the pandemic. Like, my life really didn't change a whole lot, except I didn't go maybe to, you know, get something for clothing or whatever. But usually just going to the grocery store is about usually all I do. I'm not trying to go out to bars or restaurants that often. And so my life really didn't change a whole lot, which was weird. But I was like, wow, you don't realize like how much of a hermit you are until things aren't taken away from you, really.
yeah, I mean, that's an adjustment no matter how you look at it. I
Yeah.
mean, I for me, I have to drive, an hour and 10 minutes one way for work, and to not have to do that and then not do it for months. I
Yeah.
went from middle of March all the way till October 1st before I finally started driving. And even funnier was I when I filled it. So the last day I worked was hilarious. Most people know this, but the last day I worked was Friday, March 13th. So weird day, But I came home, and like normal, I always fill my car up, just to always have a full tank of gas and ready to go for the next week. And I never filled up again until 4 months later. And even then, it was barely half a tank. That's
Yeah.
how very little I drove in 4 months that and really it was the only reason I burned so much was just because, the starting and stopping, in town. So I'm like, wow, I got like 4 months to the gallon or, a couple gallons. It was great.
Yeah. When it first started, I didn't go anywhere. Dan was going to the grocery store because he had to go back to work
Yeah.
anyways. He doesn't get to not work. So he was doing all the grocery shopping and everything. And, it was like probably 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, gosh, I don't even know if I remember how to drive. So I had to take a drive around my, you know, little block or whatever just to
Yeah,
get in the car again.
right? Yeah, it is kinda weird. I mean, to not drive for sometimes even just a couple weeks, it seems different, but, yeah, a couple months is even more bizarre.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My one friend Jill said, she goes, "I agree, I never realized how much I loved my solitude till the pandemic took over." And that's what's neat about the things that you do, whether you're doing things like us or you're just really just taking care of yourself, but to be able to sit, in silence and just kind of appreciate, the energies that are around you. And you guys know that, and Carmen does this too, excuse me, that, going outside and just being a part of nature is very key. It's something that we as a human race, did in our earliest stages, on this world. So to be connected with everything, to feel the air, smell it, the vibrations, Mother Earth, sending stuff through your bare feet, into you, and do that grounding stuff. I mean, it all was meant to be like that, and we've blocked a lot of that. And so things like this, to where we can kind of sit back and relax, and you know I go outside, every day, even for just a couple minutes, and just kind of breathe, take a few deep breaths, say some prayers and stuff, and just be open to what the day's going to bring, but at the same time still connect with nature, even if it's for a short amount of time.
Yep. Yeah, that's my morning ritual. Well, I got to let the dogs out too, but I take that time while they're doing their thing to do my thing outside.
Right.
It's nice. And yeah, I think it's with everything that was during the pandemic, that shut down. I think it's forced a lot of people to look inward, since they weren't going anywhere, and to realize that they lost a lot of that connection. All the gardening stuff was just through the roof, and everybody wanted to get back and put their hands in the dirt, which is really awesome. I like that part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny, was for me, I definitely made sure that I went out a lot more because, I kind of got complacent, and, a lot of times when I go to work, my outside time was just walking in, from, going in and out of buildings. So it's like that brief little moment, but sometimes you're in that, for me, in a mindset of work. But being home for so many months, it forced me to finally, like, really go out there and stop for a minute and not think about other things, and to just let go. So definitely changed my mindset, which is a good thing, because again, you can get complacent in some of the stuff, and you just like, what the hell was I doing? What was I thinking? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's something like that, maybe it's not your guys have been poking you at it, being like, you should have been doing this the whole time. But at the same time, maybe when you're in a situation, you really can see it better, because that's how some people are. You got to see something to
Yeah. All the other distractions are taken away. It's a little easier.
right. Um, and so, obviously, like I said, we're just kind of going around and stuff like that. But do you have any? Is there any major plans for you this year? Are you just still kind of going to be hanging out? Obviously, things are slowly opening up, as we all know. But anything big going on that you can think of, or are you just still kind of taking it easy?
Just kind of taking it easy. Just trying to see, I guess, who's coming into the studio now. Like I feel like my business is switching since I moved from mommy back to a home studio, which Jeff Sochter from Vision Finish Interiors did a great job, Jeff.
There it is.
Um, but yeah, it's neat to see the different clientele that's coming through now. And like I said before, like massage is what I'm trying to get away from. So all the energy work is coming in, and I
Yep.
really like it. It's a little intimidating because, people are word of mouth is what's getting me my clients.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's a little intimidating because one client went really, really well and they just keep talking and then they tell their friends and they want to come. And I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I hope it goes as well,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep. I mean,
but
well, that's so cool because you love when that happens, and that's the whole point. I mean, sometimes I was listening to just a normal a morning show, in fact, yesterday, and they were talking about just reviews. People giving reviews, and the point was, are people truly believing written reviews online versus having somebody tell you to your face, oh my gosh, Carmen, you got to go see her. I mean, you got to see her. Or do you just see people writing about it and do you trust it? Are they, are they saying they had a bad experience because they just, want like their money back so sometimes it's nice to be able to just hear it from people that have been a part of it. And obviously Dana, already wrote in there saying that how great it was. So, um, yeah, it's the interesting thing about nowadays, things are different. So it's almost like you have to do a live review of things to
right,
make people
right.
like, oh, they look serious. They like, yeah, you really do.
Yep.
Um, Jeff wrote in, he goes, if you do a remote during a pandemic, do you wear a mask?
Jeff.
Well, Jeff, I go in full biohazard suit, because you just never can tell what type of viruses are in the spirit world. So, you know, um, no, you don't need to do that because you're literally in between everything, which is the fun part about it. So I will answer that in a true statement, regardless of it being a joke. I will still answer that true. No, you don't need to.
Jeff.
That's Jeff. We know it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, my other friend Debbie, she was saying that there's been three people she watches shows, and since the pandemic, she's been able to watch myself, another friend of mine, Tim Shaw, and a lady called Miss Ada, and she's been able to do that during the pandemic and help realize how great it was to be able to hear things and listen to people talking, whether it's you know personal opinions or how things work or having guests on and things. So yeah, it's there's a lot of great shows that have been out there and a lot of them have popped up because of the pandemic. A lot of people that were thinking about it have started doing them. So it's always encouraging because everybody's got a cool view or good take on different things. And it's the whole thing. We all have our opinions on stuff, but it doesn't hurt to hear what everybody has to say about something. So
Yeah, and
you
it's
know
nice to be able to hear people that maybe have something similar to what you're thinking, like, because especially as mediums, we go through a lot of weird stuff and it's hard to connect with a lot of people that don't go through it. So, it's nice to hear once in a while, like, oh, yeah, like I wanted to eat that energy that I pulled off of this person. You can't just say that to someone you meet at the grocery store and have a little conversation. You got to have somebody that understands what you're talking about.
hmm And do you and that's interesting because with the whole grocery store, and do you do it a lot? Do you do as much blocking, shielding, shutting down, when you're out in public? I mean, granted, let's say we go back before the pandemic, but um do you practice a lot of that where you're really trying hard not to like get in there as much as possible? I know you're still gonna get something, but
Yeah.
if you can push back enough to where it's not as overwhelming, I mean, is there things that you do that to kind of help yourself out when you're out there?
So every time I go to the grocery store, I like to take a list so I have something visual for my left brain to focus on. And that's about what does it. When I go without a list, I'm in there lost, just looking around, and then somebody will come up and I'll start. Yeah, it's bad. I come back and I went for one thing and I don't come home with it because I
Oh
just
no.
didn't understand what I was doing there, I guess. I don't know. I like my list.
Yeah. And and that's the cool thing because you're tunneling vision. It's a tunnel vision on it. And so yes, you've now pushed everything out away. And if you can keep focus on it, that makes perfect sense. And um so that's helpful. I mean, however it works for everybody is that's how you're going to try, and if staring at that or just looking at the items as you go down the aisle, like, I know this is around here something, even though you're passing people, but yeah, there's something here.
I think the best way is to try to keep total in my mind, like try to keep total of the price that I'm spending. because math drains every bit of right brain activity from me. I hate math.
You know, basic math, that's fine, but we're not
Yeah.
gonna go back to high school stuff. I don't need geometry, I don't need algebra.
Sacred geometry, maybe, but
True, yeah, right, yeah, there's a point there, but
yeah, a little different though.
yeah, that's so oh my gosh, that's too good. But, wow. Um, I'm gonna I gotta keep drinking because I feel like I'm gonna start coughing violently here in a second.
Oh no.
I could feel it. Well, in the morning, from sleeping, you never get to clear your throat completely. So,
Hmm.
I might lean over and start hacking or something. But, and you got to put that disclaimer. It's not COVID, people. I'm not.
Yeah, I know how long. Like allergies are terrible right now, and I feel weird coughing around anybody just because they're still giving me the eye. I'm like,
Right.
sorry, can my eyes are red and itchy too.
I mean, that is amazing too. I've seen that, at work because there's people, we have, I still have people around me, at work and somebody coughs. And then, granted, good thing is we know each other well enough to where that's not like they're getting into stuff to where they're being exposed that of, obviously. But yeah, it is kind of funny when you hear somebody coughing. You're like, what are they
Yeah,
doing? Because there's people obviously that are not going to take care of themselves or they're not going to really pay attention, and that's obviously something I think hopefully a lot of more people are being aware of themselves, which is another thing about this pandemic. Is looking at yourself, realizing what you're doing, and maybe you can kind of change some bad habits.
yeah,
Um, we obviously one of the things too is like cleaning and washing your hands and stuff like that, and uh, you know one of the side jobs I've been doing at work is cleaning desk phones because they don't want to have that anymore because there's fees to it. But and I've shown that on the show before, but the dirt that is built up on these phones and the buttons and stuff is like, how do you live like that? How can you have like where you can't even see the numbers anymore?
yeah.
I'm
That's
like,
gross.
is that not can you not see that?
Yeah. Ugh.
So that's why I'm hoping that maybe, people have gotten into the, always doing some type of hand sanitizer or washing your hands, that maybe that'll kind of keep up because, you can keep a lot of the common colds. And even then, if you're not feeling great, stay away from people, don't just fight through it. Like you got a low grade fever, but you're still going to go to work,
Yeah.
you know?
Or something as easy as like, hey, I'm gonna sneeze. Let me cover my mouth.
Yeah.
How many people I've seen that didn't do that before? I'm just like, really?
It was bad. I mean, it truly was bad to see, the hygiene area of things is like, ugh, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody, even the worst one, I think the worst for me is, you go to the restroom, obviously in public, and you watch people just sit there and walk right back out. They do their business and walk out, and you're like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
You need to get back in here, sir.
Yeah.
Woo.
Exactly.
And believe me, I'm not talking just I'm talking both things. It's like, oh my lord. No, 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 no. So
Yeah. People are crazy.
and for like for me, the trying to be mindful of that because like I have to go into conference rooms, so I have to touch equipment and fix equipment, and it's so weird is that I know I'm going to be touching all that stuff, and then I'm sitting there like as soon as I'm done, I like will run to the bathroom just to clean my hands off because I would always feel bad of bringing something home to my family, and giving
Right.
them something that whether it was something I could have stopped or prevented. So
Yeah. I think we talked about that too one time too, when you said you were so tired of doing it or whatever. And I was like, maybe you just need to pretend it's, you're clearing the energy out.
right. Right. That's true. Yeah. Well, and that's the neat thing is, you know, Carmen and I will sit there and we'll have like full on conversations, for week or two, and then we like it stops because we get busy and life happens and stuff like that. And it's so neat is that well, one of us will. I love this part too, and I know it happens to you too. So like, one of us will get like we'll get alerted being like, hey, you know what, you should reach out to the other. and it'll be funny because it been both ways. It's been like I'll get them. Hey, check in on Carmen, see how she's doing. Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, it's been a while, so I check in. Like, you know what? And then you'll say, I was just thinking about you this week. I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's so cool because I get, so I like. There's so many things that we just have a good connection, and so
Yeah, it's
those
pretty.
messages will go back and forth, and it'll be a while, but then we pick up right where we left off.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I like that too. It's never a weird in between, like, hey, how's it going now? It's just like, hey, what size shirt do you wear? Because I want to make you
Right,
something that screamed
right,
at
right,
me.
right. It's but and I think that's what's neat about it, and even then, most of the time, everybody that that I'm really good friends with lives so far away, and here it is, we're really close, and yet pandemic sort of screwed that too. But
Yeah.
we are so close, so there's like weird that we'll sit in there and still be writing messages to each other, but yeah, we should be like,
Hey,
I'm bad at that. I know I'm at fault a lot for that. So, but sometimes you just get caught up into things and get busy, and next thing
oh
you
yeah.
know, you're like, oh crap.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you got a little bit more going on than I do. Like I said, I'm just out hanging out on the property and playing with my grandbaby, and that's about it.
Right. Yep. And there's nothing wrong in that. That's well earned time.
Yeah.
Hey, and just out of curiosity, seen anything going on with the grandbaby? Because sometimes maybe you catch a few things out of the corner of your eyes around them. Little guardians watching over them. Just
um,
curious.
Definitely.
All
So
right.
before she was even born,
Mhm.
yeah, we saw a lot. Their dog would always stare at the ceiling fan and
Okay.
just, kind of stare for no reason. Well, her due date was, I believe, like February 27th. And my grandma's birthday is March 1st. And she's like, the queen of the family. She passed
Mhm.
away a few years ago, but she's the queen of the family. And we kept saying that Stella was going to be born on grandma's birthday. Well, she was born on March 1st at 7:10 in the morning. And we, we joke that, my grandma wouldn't let her go until her birthday to come here. And so, like, now when we're in the living room, Stella loves to stare at the ceiling fan. It is so weird. But yeah, there's a lot of little things that go on with her. She looks like she has a very old soul, which is nice because, like, I'll say things to her that I used to say to my grandma just to kind of see what kind of reactions I'd get. But it's very cool. I love that part of babies. They're just so open.
Mhm. That's cool. And that's what's neat is just being able to see if there's anything, obviously, it's not going to be anything, negative, we'll put it that
Yeah,
way, but
yeah,
it's neat because you never know what family members are going to be around or if their guides are going to be around, starting to get established with them. But yeah,
yep.
watching your kid or a grandkid and then they take notice of something and you're like, because I've talked about that before. I mean, I've had the same thing, and I watched my son, and he was changing his diaper, because I'll make it real quick, and then he just like started looking off to the one side when he was staring at me the whole time, and it was like, hold on, time out, because I mean, you know, dad mode, but also medium mode, going, yeah,
What are you
nothing's
looking
supposed
at?
to be
Yeah,
in here.
yeah,
So, but that's cool. Yeah, because I mean, and we know that kids are so much more open, from the moment they're born, and all the neat things that they they're not subjected to the teachings from everything around us and stuff.
right.
And so it is kind of neat to see kids, not that you want it to go down a bad path, because obviously, you know just as much as they're good, there's also going to be a few bad things out there too. But
Yeah.
you know
Well,
but we've
it'll be interesting to see what goes on with her because both of my girls, my daughters, are very much have a great abilities, but they don't really tap into them. My older one, Tala, she just says, no, no, thank you.
right. Totally understandable,
Yep, totally understandable. But
Yep.
like ever since they were little, they were both, telling me about their past lives and who they were hanging out with and having tea parties with. And you
I
know,
like that.
my younger one, Kate, she's a little more into it. She'll dip in a little bit
Yeah.
more, but I can't wait to see what Stella does.
Right. Yeah. Well, obviously, time will tell.
Yeah,
But Jill wrote, she's like, she has your grandmother's soul. She goes, "How fantastic is that?"
it's
So,
amazing. And
um,
the 19th was my grandpa's birthday, and I
okay.
had been thinking about him all day. And we usually have a little something, for him or whatever, just because he would have been 100 years old on the
Wow.
19th. So
Wow.
we always, do something for him on his birthday. And so at the end of the night, getting ready for bed, and I was just like, oh, I hope you had a great birthday, Grandpa. Well, my TV turned off. And I was like, and he's very much a jokester. So I was like, okay. So I told Dan, I'm like, hey, I'm like, the TV just stopped working. It didn't click right away.
Right. Right.
And he's like, well, what'd you do? And I said, I didn't do anything. I'm like, but maybe the cat stepped on the surge protector or something. I'm like, the remote's not working. And so he was getting ready to pull the dresser out so I could look behind it. And I turned the button on the remote again and it turned right back on. And I was like, oh, okay. Funny, Grandpa. Happy birthday.
Yeah, you gotta love when loved ones pop up like that and just kind of, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna mess
Yeah.
with you for a few minutes.
Oh, he used to be bad. Like, he's the one that made me kind of really do that. I don't want to be touched
Okay.
because,
Okay.
like, it would be that second right before I'd fall asleep that I'd get a touch on my shoulder, just a real light touch. And I was like, ugh. But I knew it was him. You know how you can tell who it is. I knew it was him, but he was just a little jokester like that.
So our good friend Jeff first said, "I got mad skill untapped abilities," and then because of what you were just saying with the TV, he just said Dan would say the TV bumped the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
um, a client of mine, Margaret, she was just saying her husband. I knew this, but yeah, her husband would turns the TV on right after he passed, scared their daughters, and who are in the room.
Oh gosh.
So
Yeah.
yeah, very very interesting. And
Yeah,
which is, oh yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, with my grandfather, my youngest daughter, we lived in Texas when he passed,
Okay.
and she was only 2.
Okay.
And the night that he passed away, I was at the nursing home,
Mhm.
and coming home, I went in to check on the girls because my sister was home with them, and she was 2, and she was sitting straight up in bed, I think asleep, but she was talking to my grandpa.
Whew, whew.
Yeah, because
Wow.
that freaked me out. But it was so cute because, a little 2-year-old with a lisp saying, "It's okay. I love you, Grandpa. I'll see you soon." Like
Right.
that was crazy.
It's weird as a parent, I mean, I haven't really had those moments, and sometimes I'm kind of glad, but then there's be kind of neat because I'm not, my daughter, would be the one that would, you know if she was going to do something like me, it would be definitely her. And you know just the idea of not going too much but just giving her a little taste. I mean, I've taken to our old mill once, and just had her get to experience a little bit, got a little bit of activity. And
Yeah.
so but I was just, it was funny because it was me and one of our teammates, Jeff, and my Jeff, and we were just like, I said, whatever you do, you either stay in my back pocket, you stay next to Jeff, don't leave any one of our sides, don't go walking around.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had, I mean, other than my father and my brother, but I haven't had one of my own kids, with me, just, and it was just a small little, it was more of a tour, but we did a little bit of investigating. But you just never know at first because, you can only help and protect so much. But I knew,
Exactly.
you know, and even then some of the certain spirits there would, you never know what they're going to do, if they're going to be really involved in getting her attention because she is my kid and stuff. So
Yeah, and very much open, more so than a lot of the people that are there probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Margaret said, after she said, "You're not so funny," and then the TV turned back on. Um, Jill saying, "The day after my father-in-law passed, I received a phone call from his phone, which was sitting on the table, turned off."
Oh, wow.
I've heard of that before. I mean, that's some pretty that's heavy stuff. But at the same time, if you think about it, there's a lot of different things that's a true message, coming through. Just, hey, I'm just giving you a call, letting you know I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm here. It's real
We just
simple.
yeah, we just watched a documentary about that wrestler, what's his name? Roddy Piper or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were watching this documentary on him, and his wife and kids and stuff were on there, and all his wrestling friends. Well, Hulk Hogan was on there because he was friends with him,
Right.
and said that the day after, I believe, that Roddy died,
Yep.
Hulk got a message on his phone that said, "Hey, brother, I'm with Jesus. I just wanted to call and say that and like check on you. I love you, brother." Like, it was crazy. Yeah,
Whoa.
because Hulk Hogan was like, that messed me up.
Right.
But yeah, that was really cool to hear. Like, because you don't hear a lot of people that have the spotlight like that talk about this stuff.
Right.
So, like, hearing that was like, okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. That is crazy. Yeah. But, you know, it- w- that's, I think, another neat thing is, even with electronics and things of that sort, just having that kind of message still come through in that form, you
Yeah,
know, I mean, it used to be like, after somebody passed, maybe, a song that you both enjoyed would come on the radio, out of just nowhere,
yeah.
especially if it was an older song. So,
My grandpa does that a lot with La Bamba.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I heard it on 92.5 the day I was getting my wedding dress. I was in David's Bridal and trying on dresses, and I was like, "Oh, I love this dress. I don't know. Maybe I should do this one." And they always play music there, and 92.5's like a city station or
Yeah.
whatever. And so La Bamba comes on, and I told the lady there working there, I was like, "Is that La Bamba?" And she goes, "Yeah. I don't understand what this is." And then I just started bawling. I was like, because I knew it was my grandpa. That was our song.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
That
That's really
was
cool.
scary because I was by myself, but it was also really nice.
Um, let's see. Jill said she actually told her dad that her father-in-law, she goes, I just told him, call me when he got home.
That's awesome.
So there you go. Made
Yeah.
it safe. And then uh family member of mine, her name's Sharon, said that happened to my daughter Jennifer. She got a phone call from her dad,
Oh,
you know.
wow.
So, yep.
That's so,
That's and that's the thing is, Carmen knows this. We all us mediums know this. I mean, we tell everybody, always be alert to whatever, might be happening. I mean, you don't have to do what we do to still see the messages that'll pop in there. Messages can come in any shape, form. The sky's the limit,
yeah.
and we've talked about a few here, but just things like that. Um, penny, a coin of some sort popping out of nowhere that it wasn't there, minutes or the day before, but it's there. And there's all those little things that that happen, and that's what they do. Excuse me.
Yeah. The day my daughter went into labor with Stella, we found a white feather as soon as we walked out. It was crazy. I was like, wow, little angel feathers down here. She's
Oh,
coming.
I love that. Well, and you've seen my post. I mean, I have angels visiting all the time, so it's absolute true blessing when they do, and
Yeah.
they they always do it in small forms, and I've had so many great experiences, even this year with them popping in there, and
Yeah.
um, geez, it that's something, and when I started, I grew up religious, and I kind of did kind of backed away just a little bit, but still have God and creator on my side, and And then now that, I've been kind of doing what I've been doing for a while, now obviously other things are sort of popping in a lot more. The angels are showing up a lot more frequently, and they've either um done it, it just kind of like just sending me some love, because it always feels great when I see them. You just get that overwhelming feeling. So you don't even have to understand it. You just feel that. And then the other times they'll do that where I still feel the love and I don't really get much from it. But then a couple days later, all hell breaks loose. And then I'm like being torn to pieces by things going on in my life. And I'm like, and I, now I'm used to it to where, so if I see an angel feather, I'm like, okay, it's either quick little gotcha, or it's something's about to hit. Be ready, but we're
Yeah.
behind you, and so
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
but
and that's what I always tell people too when they ask like how to start doing mediumship stuff is to work with the angels,
yeah,
whether you're religious or not.
right.
Archangels are right there. They're all you have to do is ask. Be
Yep.
specific, very specific because they're very good about you can say, "Can you come please help me now?" and they'll come now, but if you say, "Can you please come help?" they will, but maybe not at that moment.
Right. 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 But that's the whole thing that we've always talked about, everything's about intention. What are
Mhm.
you trying to do? What are you trying to get out of it? What do you need? And so, you know, if you break your hand, it's not going to fix itself. You
Yeah.
need to go see somebody. So what do? You're asking, I need to go into this doctor. So I mean, it's the point, you still have to put your foot forward in
Yeah.
all this. And
Yep.
you don't have to go as deep as we do, but you can certainly still just take a step just to be a little bit more open, just to feel the energies. We all have that. And I always love telling people, when you walk into a room, you almost know instantly what's going on. You don't have to have any abilities. You can tell what the mood is like.
Yep, exactly. And that's what always cracks me up when people say, "Oh, I'm not sensitive to anything like that." I'm like, if you walked into a room someone was just fighting in, you would pick that up immediately, whether
Yep.
you knew it or not.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the cool thing is you could almost do that by walking in blindfolded. You
Hmm.
don't, so that way you don't even get a visual of the what the people's demeanor looks like. If you
Yeah.
walked in blindfold into a room, or like, you going over to a friend's house or a birthday party, something like that. But if you walked in blindly, you'll know instantly what's been going on. And
Yeah.
that's really neat. And it's like I said, you're not going down any crazy paths, you're not opening any doors, you're just noticing what does exist that we all are capable of picking up on.
Yeah. I think my friend Jody had talked about doing a game like that one time where one person would be blindfolded and then we would all take turns sending them an emotion like anger or joy or whatever to see if they could pick it up or feel it coming from us.
It's great.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the kind of weird stuff I do.
That's and that's that but that's also good, it's not, I hate to put it like at a challenge for yourself, but it's just, in a way like exercises to really sort of keep pushing you and
Yeah.
expanding, because none of us ever stop learning. There's always something that we can
Right.
learn from each other, or something you'll learn from your guides, to just keep doing what you're doing and grow it, because you can never stop. And I've talked about that for years. My friend Candace says hi, and she just says, I ask angels for help, but I do not say thank you till help is given. They tend to not help if you say thank you early. And then she's like, they get so confused. Well, yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, Candace. And yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, it's like I said, and sometimes you'll hear, all of you are watching, a lot of this will, we repeat this stuff on purpose, because if you got to get it ingrained in you, so that way you can do this, or utilize it to your benefits as you continue on with your path, your life. And so there's a lot of it's easy, what I mean. In some way it's easy, it's just, are you willing to continually remember to do this, that, and the other,
Yeah.
and
It's
so
fun and the more you learn, the more you want to learn. So it's crazy. It's just a never ending thing. That's why I think where a lot of my lack of confidence is
yeah,
this. It's like I feel like I know this tiny much and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, because if you say this much, something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you could joke about it. Yeah, I know that much, but then you're going, no, not really. But
Yeah.
but that's the fun part. We constantly, we've shared so many things back and forth about opinions and theories and that's what's helpful because see then maybe we are going to feel like we're going to stretch it just a little bit more because we're able to learn something, and who knows, we may not ever get to this point before we pass, but at least we can say maybe in some way we got a little bit more before we did. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's the best thing though, because like if you really enjoy it and you really like it, it's like having some form of hobby or job that you love, and it's like a never ending supply of what you can learn from it, different
right.
aspects. There's so many little rabbit holes you can go down. Yeah.
Man, yeah, yeah, and then you could go back. Then you can crawl back out and go down another one, so you don't even have to keep going down the same one in different ways. You can
Yep.
go down multiples, and then that branches. Yeah,
Yep.
and a lot of times, and you know this too, is that it's what calls to you the most. I mean, when I started, there was things that I wasn't really into yet. And then all of a sudden, the right time showed up, and be like, hey, you know what? I think it's time that you touch that. Oh, okay, all right. Never occurred to me that I was going to do that, and then you kind of go jump into it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is kind of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I
Then
love
you
doing
can't get
that.
enough of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's so cool. Yeah, I love that. Um, got about 4 minutes left or so. I I think the last little bit, let's just talk a little bit about some of the paranormal stuff and the things that you've done, because I know a lot of people here are investigators and things, and so obviously what's your do you enjoy the paranormal investigations? Is there a lot that you get out of it? Is it a little bit more harder to work on? That sort of thing. What's your take on investigations?
So investigations are really cool. Um, Doing the mediumship side of it is a whole different thing than holding your recorder and running cables and whatever. But I think probably my favorite thing that I've ever done was Jeff had me go to I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, the bear house.
Okay.
That
He
was the
just got back. He just said, he goes, "What I miss," Harold called him.
oh
LOL.
so that was the very first time I've ever done any sort of mediumship for an
Okay.
investigation thing.
Mhm.
Um, and he had me do a walkthrough of the house,
Okay.
and that was bizarre. It was crazy because I'm sitting here saying things like they're a question.
Right.
I'm like, I feel like this was a fire here, and she was making biscuits and burned the place up, and there's a boy here. Everything I said was like questioning. But at the end, we went outside, and the homeowners and Jeff were there, and he had already been there and investigated. And so, like, they sat me outside, and we were just talking, and everything that I said had happened, which
Yeah.
was so crazy. So crazy.
Yep. He just said that was spot on when you did that.
Yeah, that was so
Yeah.
weird to me. But then it was like you just said a little bit ago, like you got a little taste of it, and now you're like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And even then, especially if you do like you go to the next one and maybe not everything is right spot on or anything. It's like you get to the point where it's like you can only get so much. You can only get what you see, and whether it's right or wrong, that's not really up to you. And so I've gotten to the point where it's like if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what came through to me, and so I'm not going to sit there and judge what information popped up. So
Right. That
you
was
know,
one of the things I learned when I first started going to the camp and doing the classes is like you give what you get. And that's it,
Mhm.
like it's not up to you to have it make sense for someone. It's you're giving what you get, and that's it.
Mhm.
You're not hanging on to it and thinking about it, because that's
Oh,
complete wrong thing to do as a medium.
yeah. Yeah, because then you're sitting there thinking about it for hours or days, and then you're not sleeping because yeah, and that's the thing is that's tough when you're brand new at it because that you can't help because our logical minds, that's the way we were
Yeah.
raised. Oh, you got to figure this out. And so,
You have to make the story if it doesn't fit, you know? Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
No,
so,
no, no.
and then, what, we're at 10:30, but I still want to ask at least one more. Has there been any cases that have been a little bit more troublesome for you, or a little bit more, nerve wracking, or anything like that, that, you're kind of like, "Ew," I don't know if I would ever go back, or, any cases that have been a little bit more troublesome to you?
Um,
Spirits messing with you, like really bad, like just, they're poking at you, that sort of thing.
I think there's been a couple that just I didn't feel right,
Yeah.
and I I wasn't really sure if it was the people I was around or if it was the actual
Mhm.
spirits, because that makes a huge difference when you're doing a reading somewhere. You know that. Like the
Right.
people around you, their energy, like walking into the room if someone had just been fighting, yet you're feeling that from the people that are around you, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
they're carrying some stuff, and when you're open, you're open.
Yes.
So, yeah, it makes it difficult some places. So, like, if I'm actually doing a mediumship thing for an investigation, I prefer to walk through with somebody else that,
Mhm.
like with Dana or with Jeff,
Cool.
because,
Which
I know their energy. They know what I'm
mm,
doing.
right.
They don't get in too crazy with me.
They're along for the ride, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So I like doing that, but there's been a couple places that I just wanted to go home.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Or hug Dan. Dan's my grounding rock. He's
Yep.
so skeptical. He's like, "Oh, it was just a cat."
Right.
That gets me out of that right brain connected thing.
Real quick.
Yeah, real quick. So, yeah, I like that.
There's nothing wrong in that. We all know that, the being skeptical is okay. I mean, technically we are too, because,
Yeah.
we still want to know what's going on. I mean, like, again, we get all this information, but it's not like we can research it, like we just don't know it. So I mean, having others that understand what's going on, or then you going and looking it up and being like, holy crap, okay, that
Yeah.
that said something.
Yep.
Wow. So W all right, let's see. Oh, well, we got Dan, or excuse me, Jeff's writing in. What about Dan's garage with all those evil rock posters?
Yeah. He's his own beast, you know? I can't. I don't hang out out there.
To each their own, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. I was gonna say, yeah, because then, before we wrap up, you know, m my wife's into she likes the paranormal stuff, but just still to this day has no understanding as to why I wanna sit there and actually have a conversation with a spirit. Just cannot for the life of her understand, why do I want to sit there and just have this imaginary conversation with somebody standing next to me? Just doesn't, it's one thing to use the equipment or cameras and capture things that, from a physical standpoint, but sit there and do what we do. Just nope, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't understand why you're doing that. Don't bring
Yeah,
anything home.
right. Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's always fun when, well, I think that's probably why we have the spouses that we have, they
Mhm.
got to keep us balanced.
All right, Jeff again, real quick. Also like paranormal conventions, which was a question mark. There's a lot of evil, violent artwork. Does that stuff affect you guys?
It depends. Like art is art. Um when people do art that's I don't know, someone can paint a beautiful picture, but if they were angry when they did it, it's still the same thing.
Right, that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. What was their intentions behind it? I mean, it's one thing to you know draw something of whatever, even if it's a violent nature. But even then, is it just because they see a different side to it? Is there especially if it is graphic in some nature, but is there some type of beauty to it? I mean,
Right.
yeah, not all images are going to be appeasing to everybody, but at the same time, were they truly doing this to scare the crap out of people, or um, you know, or is it just because of people that appreciate that sort of thing? But right, yeah, I wouldn't, I don't get bothered by it, because even then we could get into the whole topic of haunted objects and things of that nature,
Yeah.
and again, maybe if it was a weapon, I mean, and it did violence towards somebody, well, yeah, it's gonna feel something, but even then it might not. It could be just a knife that they cut food with, I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I keep saying potatoes, and I'm like, what? Well, this, so you can really go down a whole path with that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and people have been saying goodbye. So thank you everybody that's been, saying goodbyes. Hope you guys have a good one. Yeah. So, but yeah, and even then, like, even then with Jeff, I mean, yeah, obviously at conventions, I mean, see, even then, are you in a haunted location for the convention? Is it in a hotel lot, ballroom hall type of thing? I mean, doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be that. I mean, I
The
think you,
people going,
yeah,
the
and you've
people
done a lot
attending.
of
Yeah.
you've done events where, like, it's just more holistic style, and those are completely a whole nother, like, amazing experience. I mean,
Yeah.
when I go to a holistic event, whether I'm just going to attend it or be a part of it, that energy is crazy positive.
Yeah, especially
You
when
go to
there's like a huge thing display of crystals everywhere
oh,
and people doing readings and it's intense. Yeah. I
and
used to
it's refreshing.
It is. I used to go to the rock and gem shows just to
Yeah.
go get recharged cuz I
Yeah.
loved buying them too, but just the energy in there is amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, I went the last few times, just because it was neat, I mean, it's just cool to walk around it, even if you don't pick anything up, it's still cool just to be amongst that, just like what you said. I mean, it is. Hey, Dave. And, but yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, is even then from a holistic style event to a paranormal convention, yeah, you can feel a difference between the two. But even then, the paranormal doesn't mean that it's just going to be this kind of like weird in between or more negative or anything like that. It's just, you could still have a blast. We all do. We've been to, several conventions, and half the time it's no big deal, including ones like at Collingwood. It's not like, there's energy, there's stuff there. You can get messed with, sure, but you
Yeah, I
still have a
think
good time.
yeah, and I think that one of the big differences too is like paranormal conventions, you do have a lot of the skeptics there,
Yeah.
the science-based, team people that,
Yep.
need the evidence on camera and audio. And then
Yep.
at the holistic events, you just show up. You don't need equipment.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I would encourage, I mean, if you've never been to one, you know, make sure you're friends with somebody that is, and like, just go and go there, even if you don't get a reading or anything like that, and you just kind of hang out with your friend that has been to them, just be open enough, even if you're skeptical about it, but just go and be open for the day and see how you feel when you leave.
yeah. My
Because we
friend Leah has a shop in Bowling Green called the Shara's Garden.
okay.
Huge place to go for just walking in feeling good. She's got crystals everywhere that she sells and she does readings and stuff like that, but it's just the energy in her shop is amazing.
See. Yeah. And that'll and anybody that's skeptical, and like I said, you got to be open for it. Don't sit there and just be completely closed off. And open is doesn't mean that you're going to be affected by things in a negative way. It's just the fact that, you know, go there with a little bit of like, hey, you know what? If something, I'm open to whatever is going to happen, whether it's just a little bit of, positive energy, hitting me to make me feel a little bit more chipper, and just even something small like that. But I guarantee you're going to walk away being like, you know what, I got to go back to something like that. Or like you said, go, check out, a shop, a holistic shop that's selling things, and just walk through there a little bit, because
Yep. You
you're
get
going to
that little
love that feeling.
taste. Yep. You get a little taste. You're going to want more.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Well, we've we've gone 10 more minutes past the lot of time. Typical for me, usually try to, stop on a dime, but it doesn't. I have been doing that. It's always been closer to almost 10 minutes now. It's weird. So, um, So Carmen, go ahead and just plug your stuff one more time where people can reach you, and if they're looking for a massage or some, forms of Reiki, and maybe even a little bit of mediumship mixed in.
Yeah. My phone number is 419-320-1283. It's on my Facebook page, Carmen Kosmider LMT. And then in August, we're doing the Owens Community College class with Togs, and I'll
Mhm.
be doing a presentation there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be in person, or is there gonna be some online for it? Because obviously.
As far as I know, it's in person.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
anybody local to the Toledo area, that's the easiest way to put that,
Yeah.
would like to attend that, I can definitely, share some of that information on my page. So if you guys are interested, it's a paranormal class, and so some of you that might have questions, or you've always been curious about things, Carmen's a part of Togs, and so, Harold, who runs the thing, I mean, they got a good stack of everything that they talk about, and it gives you a good understanding of things, I mean, uh, even if you just take it just because you're curious,
Yeah,
do
that's
it.
what we did. And
Yep.
now we're on the team. And, Jeff does a part of the
Right.
presentation there. And, we do a field trip at the end so you can, check out the equipment and see what you've learned and just
Yeah.
have fun. It's
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah. So again, you might learn something, and just help, or best better understand, what the paranormal is all about. And so, yeah, definitely check it out. Let's see, what do you got? Yeah, Boo or Jeff saying, yeah, it's definitely not going to be the same as the ghost hunting 101 and 102.
Yeah,
But
making it a little different now, which
yeah,
more information, getting a little more
more
uh
in depth.
more in depth. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Awesome. Awesome. So, guys, definitely check Carmen out, especially if you're local. So that way you guys can get a session from her. And like I said, I've not had one, but I know enough people that have. And that's my bad for not seeing her. She's offered, and, I'm stupid enough to be like, I'm tired today. But don't, but see, that's the thing is, I am going to be seeing her next month. So that is, that is in the book.
Yes.
That's happening. I have it blocked off. So
All
so we
right.
were working on things. So we got some cool stuff, that we'd like to do. But um, other than that, thank you so much, Carmen. It was great to see you again. I mean, you were on Jeff and Dana's show, so which I'll plug, guys. Jeff, who's Boo Productions Paranormal. If you go to Boo Bites Paranormal, he does a show on Thursdays at 7. Brand new, so he's like now 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it. So um, I gotta support, my local peeps, and stuff. So check him out. And other than that, before I wrap it up, for those that didn't know, or maybe you missed the post because it seemed like this week Facebook kind of messed up the algorithms badly. A lot of people had no idea somehow that I wasn't doing a flute meditation performance this afternoon. So if you guys are available, even if you can't see the live, that's okay, because it'll still be available, on Facebook and YouTube. But so if you're available at 3 p.m. Eastern, check out my live performance this afternoon. It's If you saw them last year, it's the same thing. So I'm gonna get you set up, talk for about 10 minutes, and then it'll be about 45 minutes of flute music by me. And when it's all over, you guys will be able to chill out the rest of your day and feel a lot more relaxed, and get some of that stress off your shoulders, regardless of what it is. Doesn't matter. It could just be just seeing news, and we'll get that off of your shoulders for a change. Um, so yeah, so that'll be at 3 p.m. I already got if you guys haven't seen it, go to my page and you can hit the get reminder. So that'll let you know when I go live. But that's going to happen at 3 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. And if not, we will definitely be talking to you during the week. And I'll be back again next weekend if I don't see you guys again soon. So, Carmen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was
I
fun.
appreciate. Yep, especially last minute. So I mean, that's even better. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So,
Yeah.
alrighty, gang. So I'm gonna be out of here. Thank you so much to every single one of you that have been watching or watching this back. You guys have been watching Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium, and I will see you again, not only later today, but next time. So take care.